The Stavropol territory UFO incident, abduction of a boy, and a message from extraterrestrial aliens. In the summer of 1948, somewhere in the countryside of Stavropol territory of Russia, 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, were tending a herd of cows. In the afternoon they had lunch, and then the boy decided to take a nap, moving a little away from the herd and the girls. He was awakened by a sharp whistle, and when he jumped up he saw nearby an object of silver color resembling a huge inverted plate, which was landing on 3 supports. Then a door opened in the facility, and 3 tall, thin, humanoid beings came out, dressed in tight-fitting silver suits. These creatures approached the boy, and although he was frightened, he found himself completely paralyzed and unable to move, and when they took him by the hand and he was able to move, he could not resist, and as if in a trance, went along with the creatures inside the ship. There the boy saw that they were in a corridor along which there were 4 cages made of metal rods. In one there was a bear, in another a woman, in the third 3 men, and 1 more in the fourth. Both the men and the women were also Russian, as it seems to the boy. How did he know they were Russian? Now, as the humanoid beings led the boy past these cages, the bear growled and began to angrily pace around the room. The women began to scream in wild hysterics with disheveled hair, wild eyes, and foam at the mouth, and the 3 men fell to their knees and began to pray. The boy was then shoved into a cage with 1 man, who seemed to be the only one who remained calm and tried to calm the obviously frightened and increasingly panicked boy. When the aliens left, the bear and the other men calmed down, and one could feel the object they were in taking off and start moving, the UFO that is. Shortly after takeoff, the aliens returned and pulled out an operating table that seemed to just slide right out of the wall, after which they grabbed one of the men and led him on the table. Although the man had a grimace of horror on his face, he was apparently under some kind of paralyzing effect, because he did not show any physical resistance when he was placed on the table. The man the boy was in the cage with apparently knew what was going to happen next, as he tried to divert the boy's attention, but the boy was able to see how the aliens took out various bizarre tools and began to cut and dismember the man alive. The poor victim was completely silent and helpless, blood spattering everywhere, and the removed body parts were placed in a metal box. When they were done, they washed away the blood and carried away the box and the parts that were left of the man on the table, and by that time the boy was completely seized with fear. The man who was in the cage with him tried to calm him down and told the boy that he was a mining engineer from the Urals and that his name was Alexander. He further told the boy that he planned to get them out of there, and convinced him to try to squeeze through the bars of the cage, which he managed to do after some great effort and a strong push from Alexander. There was a button on the wall that Alexander told the boy to press, but he could not reach it, so Alexander removed his pieces of clothing and folded them up so the boy could stand until he could press it, which led to the opening of their cage. Throughout this, the bear, the woman, and the 2 remaining men in the other cage were eerily quiet. Even though Alexander tried to speak to them, they did not seem to react, being in a sort of a shocked stupor. So in the end, Alexander, the boy, left the others alone and headed down the corridor, trying to find some way out. That's when things would get even weirder than they already were. They found several other rooms, one containing 2 sleeping aliens, and another containing a control room with another alien sleeping at the controls. Alexander desperately tried to find something they could use as a weapon, but they had nothing to defend themselves in case their captors woke up and caught them. They soon stumbled upon what was described as an engine room, containing some kind of metal box with a strip mounted on metal racks. Alexander picked up this box and started throwing it on the control panels in the room, which caused a lot of smoke and sparks from the appliances, as well as a piercing alarm. The 2 aliens who came running to the signal started a fight with Alexander, when another appeared with a metal rod, which was able to instantly paralyze the resisting person. The creatures then dragged Alexander and the boy back into the cage. The aliens then telepathically contacted Alexander and asked him why he was so smart while the others were at a low level of development, to which the boy replied that they were probably just uneducated and scared to death. The aliens explained that they were on Earth because they were concerned about humanity's use of atomic energy and wanted to keep an eye on our civilization. They also explained that the radioactive materials were very useful in their world as they did not have much supply and used them as fuel. The boy said, they told Alexander that it was crazy to waste radioactive materials on explosions. These materials could be used for other purposes, and they, the aliens, had these materials in very small quantities, and they were very valuable to them. They used radioactive materials for obtaining energy, which was used in various fields of science and technology, as well as for space travel, the boy said. They also told him that they wanted to study our planet and also collect these radioactive substances, and that they still did not know much about humanity. When the boy asked them why they so brutally dismembered and cut the man, they said that they simply dismembered him for study and did not even realize that he was a rational being until they saw the actions of the boy and Alexander and realized that people are rational. For them, a man was no different from that bear, just an animal, but now they thought differently. They then asked him if he would like to accompany them, to which he agreed on the condition that they release the other prisoners. They agreed, and the boy was dropped off where he was first abducted after being given an injection they claimed was necessary to counteract the radiation that he had been exposed to on their ship. The boy woke up on the hill where he went to bed, where he went to sleep, and he had a bad headache and was very thirsty, so he saw that a search party was looking for him because apparently many hours had already passed. When he was brought back to his village, he was sick for several days with a fever, a metallic taste in his mouth, and his eyes and skin were extremely sensitive to sunlight. At the time, he could not remember what had happened to him, and therefore was unable to answer when others asked him where he had been. As the years passed, he tried to put it behind him, but one day while he was in the field, he was approached by two military men and a man in civilian clothes who seemed to be familiar to him, but whom he did not remember. The plainclothes man seemed to know about his encounter with the UFO, but the boy himself did not remember it and told the man that he was wrong. A man in civilian clothes wanted to interrogate the boy under hypnosis, but a military man in clothes told him to leave it because the others did not trust him. They then left, telling the boy not to tell anyone about their visit, and it's not clear what exactly this strange little incident has to do with the kidnapping event. It was not until much later that the boy's memories and the experience were extracted through hypnosis, and this left him in a state of shock and fear, and he never found out what happened to Alexander, who helped him and the other abductees escape the extraterrestrials. This is on Infinity Explorers by Ansh Srivastava. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.